Perfect. Perfect. Great. Cloud server engaged. Okay. Oh. It's just giving me New Orleans Poetry Fest coordinators as a group.
You don't want group, you want page.
Oh, we want page. Okay,
Mhm.
Thank you. A page. There we go. That's great. It's not giving me that as an option. Hang on. Here we go. Great. All right. It worked. I think it worked now. Maybe.
All right. Now it goes through the one screen preparing your live preview, and then it comes up for the title. Okay, great.
It's thinking. It's a slow thinker. Hang in there. Thank you for your patience, everybody. Appreciate it. All right. We're here, I think. We're here. Fantastic.
It doesn't say live on Facebook yet.
It doesn't, does it? Why not go live? Because it's not giving me that option. 2 seconds. Gonna fuss with it for a few more minutes. Okay. Okay, filling in more things. Go live, yes. Okay.
Go live.
There we go.
Live on Facebook.
This looks more promising. Okay, before it wouldn't, I would click on it, but nothing happens. So now something is happening, we think.
Looks that way.
Okay. Okay. Got something out of that? It says live on Facebook. All right, fantastic news. Welcome everyone to the 2021 New Orleans Poetry Festival. I'm Lisa Pasold from the NOPF board, and I really want to thank all of you for your patience getting this started tonight. And I want to thank our major sponsors this year, especially the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage and the Academy of American Poets, who have helped us keep this year's festival free and open to all. I'm really glad to see you with us at this event, and I'm hoping I'll see you at lots of other events this month. We're hosting them throughout the month of April, and all you have to do, as you probably did to get here, is to go to the nolapoetry.com page and check out the calendar and click on the event you want to see and join and participate in. So now I'm going to turn the Zoom time over to the Bayou Gentilly Writers Circle, Andrea Panzeca, Randy Bates, Sheila Madary, Juyanne James, and Liz Brina. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lisa and Megan and Jonathan and Bill and everyone. So I'm going to start off. So excited to be here and to be with the writing group, taking it live. I'm going to read 2 poems. One is super, super old from my book, Rusted Bells and Daisy Baskets. The other one is really new. So this is it was like a found poem. I tried to write fiction once, and this is the notes that I made. Okay, it's called Self-Portrait as Pinky Driving Down Tropical Trail. Her mom is like the cat. I should go to Alaska. I love smelling things. People with birds are stupid. Sam's birds cried all the damn time. She hated them too. I wish I never had to leave. Too bad this place is full of rednecks. Ha, it was funny when Joe called Mike one. He so is, grabbing at my tits and shit. How come all the good guys never want to fuck? So that was that. I've started writing fiction again, so maybe the writing group will read some of that. Who knows? And then the second poem and my last poem is a new poem. It's going to be in the Verse of April anthology coming out. So that's pretty exciting. And it's sort of a tribute to Tommy Pico. So this is Wanting People to See After IRL. Of course, my Shonda Rhimes year of yes would be COVID. I saw Little Women in the theater 7 times. The only one in the audience the day of the shutdown. I was obsessed with Timmy Chalamet, Harry Styles, James Dean, Talking Heads, and an actual couple of friends I'll always be obsessed with, who all agree we were going out more before, like a part of us somehow knew. At least one liked me, liked me, when I thought that all but impossible. She and the others gave me lap dances our last night of the residency, so at least I know they value me as a person. The person who got me through early quarantine, reading a few pages of nature poem every night, was Tommy Pico. I already had the audiobook of IRL and read a paper copy 2 years before. Half in the Commons at FOC, between workshops, in my longest, most retrograde visit to P-Town. Weird jealousy at some rich family eating lobster rolls together before the ferry. You'll be in the carriage house this year. Set the whole tone. Though a bartender told me I look a little like that actress Christina Ricci, and a guy I met the year before wanted to get drinks, and like a fool, I blew him off, and now he lives in Minnesota. I started reading IRL on a bench outside, but it's hotter than ever. Depleted my underwear supply in days, aired them out between rewears, finally got to wash them when I checked in upstairs a few hours later. But until then, I read in the Commons. Eileen Miles walked in. I didn't say, "Thanks for the advanced copy of Afterglow you gave me last year," in front of everybody, wrapped in a brown paper bag. "Oh, you left this somewhere." I'm a dummy. Huh? I didn't lose any. Oh. No gratitude, no gracious reminder of the previousness, just silence. They probably just got into town, a little harried, not expecting to interact for a while, and I take the lack of recognition personally. It affects me the rest of the trip that had already been affected by the family eating lobster rolls. Did I read the Pangea quote from IRL to the crowd? Was Jane Mead in the audience, her last year a living poet? On one of the planes home, I read the rest of IRL, spilled some beer on it. The library's copy felt right or okay, in spirit with the text, the scroll. To hinge or roll my tray table, asked the girl next to me if I could set it, my beer, on hers. She said yes. I was already grateful to her and her boyfriend for choosing me to sit next to, preventing some football coach type from landing there, asking, "So what do you do?" Though this never happens to me. I don't give off that friendly talk my ear off vibe, though I do like to flash my book cover a little for people to see what I'm reading in case they're curious. Grateful for the couple too, who were Black. The relief I felt to see them reminded me I'd be home soon in New Orleans, no longer surrounded by the unrelenting whiteness of P-Town. I didn't climb its white supremacy monument, the Pilgrim one, because I'm scared of heights, and because fuck that mother of all I survey BS. The boyfriend's reading, but I can't see what. Wait, when in IRL is the Pangea part? TBT, even geography is about moving on. Maybe in the second half, waiting for me to get to, on the way home, reading my soiled copy I hoped someone would see. Thank you all so much. That's it from me. Next up, we have Randy Bates.
There
Can
we
you hear
go.
me? Okay. I'll read 3 poems. The first is an old one. It's from an exercise in a writing class with students, and the prompt was describe a small object. And I thank the student for giving this prompt. It's called rock. I have on my desk the finest paperweight in my experience, a rock from Walden Pond. It's squarish, sort of tall and flat on its base, also blonde, mottled, a look certain clouds have, and softly bumpy. Curved lines like those in our palms score its faces. It almost fits within my hand, yet it's heavy for its size. Cool to the touch, its temperature recalls the clear shallows in which I found it. That day, I wasn't looking for rocks, just waiting after swimming when I glimpsed and absently took it. It lay for a few years in the trunk of my car. When I traded the car, I noticed it and put it on one desk, then another. With each day that passes, my estimate of its value increases. My favorite among the small number of rocks that I have and have had, it will stay with me and companionably serve me, I expect, for the rest of my time here. Later, I see it passing through the hands of some of those dear to me, and then somewhere, surviving us by centuries. And this is another old one. It's kind of concerns old love, trying not to die. And it has a head note, superstition. A shooting star is the soul of someone departed. Witnessed a shooting star also is an opportunity to make a wish. Meteors. 1. Before another death, let's drive again, slowly along the blacktop, through hayfields and bars of gold light. We need motion to lighten our silence, to help us believe our old car belongs among the shadows it catches. As we cross and recross the river, the road rising into dusk toward a one-street town where Montana's mountains begin. 2. High mirrors reflect beer signs, billiards, the screen clapping too. Cowhens in bowling shirts laugh down lonesome music. TV news melts in blue ice on the bar top's ruined grain. Tonight families arrive. Someone begins to sing the small things of this world as if we are safe. When we leave the chrome bar, someone will wave. 3. As in another autumn, we lie by slowed water to watch the Perseid streak panes of sky from Pegasus to Cetus. Their flares are like mica or a snail's track before they are gone. We shudder, wondering how we dare leave children the truths of distance, our prayers to plain stone. 4. This is Grandpa's river, our son told us in spring. They stood here, skipping rocks that spattered the water, then chipped sparks in midstream from a ridged glacial bar. Before another death, come through the clearing to our frayed canvas room. Let its doors fall open and nothing fall between us and our old burning parents, the stars. And the last one, it's the last thing I've been trying to write. I'm not sure it's even finished. I'll have to take it to the Old Bayou workshop on Thursday night to find out whether that's the case. But it concerns my two sons, it's dedicated to my older son, and in the poem I'm speaking to my younger son. Drums. My adult son lugs over his big guitar, amp, and mic to practice his songs with me. The drums are here, an old secondhand kit I bought cheap for you. A dream of mine, one you don't share. Door closed, sleeping away another day in your room nearby, seeming indifferent to your last high school year. So I play your drums. I, who drummed wild on only a cymbal and snare in Bubba Hampton's basement, to his guitar and Booger Bailey's vocals. Bubba, star lineman in high school, college, later a kind banker who played lifelong guitar till cancer took him. And Smiling Booger, ever, upbeat, handsome linebacker, 12th grade team captain, soon killed in Vietnam. Your brother, a pro, gently schools me on quarter notes, eighths, more, though my only plus is to feel the music and love it. Still, his gift to me, soon we'll go into the studio and record these songs the day I turn 76. For that, no matter my voice grown frail, he has me sing with him. His gift to you is hoping you'll wake to the beat and sing with us too. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. I think the next person coming up is Sheila. I'm just trying to, Sheila, there we go. Thank you. You're up.
Thank you. I'm going to read a piece tonight that I hadn't really classified as poetry. I'll let you decide. The title is Still Life, and it's written for my friend, Danette Curtis. Still Life. Thanksgiving was the last day I saw you, both of us unmasked in your house. I was there to pick up a chocolate torte your daughter had made for my daughter's 18th birthday. I lingered a while to admire your vast nutcracker collection, your tree and holiday trimmings, most of them in white and pink, like your office that I knew. I left with the cake and your gift of Zinfandel. At the door, we spoke of my family's Black Friday plans, a hike to Muir Woods. In the kitchen, you told your husband and girls of my time abroad, England and Italy and Germany. You said, how exciting. Unlike us, we've spent our whole life in Stockton. I countered in praise of your hometown connections, having family and friends nearby, something our transient family lacks. On Black Sunday, you text, not feeling well. Tomorrow I'll work at home. Fingers crossed it's just a nasty cold. I contact traced to that day. I wonder about exposure. Was I there more than 15 minutes? On Wednesday, you reply, not feeling well at all, horrible. It's attacked my lungs. Can I drop off food to your house tomorrow? My feeble offer to help. Honestly, I'm not hungry, you reply. Your test results are in. I'm positive. Thank you so much. Your last words on my phone are still there. 2 weeks, your daughter sends group text updates. Persistent cough, trouble breathing, an ambulance, working too hard to breathe on her own, talking uses too much energy, COVID pneumonia, a breathing regimen, back in ICU. I think of a hummingbird. I think of a time at my uncle's house when we cousins peered and hovered around a shovel to examine a quiet, shimmering, feathered creature. My uncle lifted and tipped it toward the sunlight, now stilled, still emerald. The hummingbird's scant claws, fine-tipped bill, specular bead eye, so recently alive, its light glinting, constantly shifting wings blurred until they met with my uncle's screen door. Our admiration of this bird's still iridescent beauty made possible by its demise. The nurses prayed with you, calmed your dread and fear, then sedated and tubed you. They flipped your formidable body front to back to front. Proning, they call it. High blood pressure, high flowing oxygen, not quite 50% oxygen flow. I called my doctor friend who's seen your stiff lungs 90 times over. She explains sepsis, rehab, permanent damage, then says she will not be the same friend you knew. How did you spend the 10 days before cardiac arrest? I think of you lingering for hours, upside down, alone, heavily sedated. Did you hallucinate or have some constant terrible pain? Knowing you, if you could, you must have prayed relentlessly for healing, for some mercy, then perhaps for a release into eternity. Twice as you lingered, I circled the hospital with my little one, Lily, in our van, driving around the block, sending up prayers to your lonesome room. Blurry Christmas lights flickered past in the darkness. On the last day of Christmas, Epiphany, 2 weeks after you passed, your daughter delivered a dozen gifts to my office. Gifts you had started preparing for all of us 2 months before. Wine glasses filled with Hershey's Kisses and a script, "Wine a little, laugh a lot." Hundreds attend your Zoom funeral on muted black screens 1 month later. The morgue was overwhelmed with too many funerals. Your remains rest in an urn, not the pine box built by monks you had previously fancied. I learn about your love for practical jokes, hiding in a pantry, waiting to scare an unsuspecting member of your family. Monsignor qualifies. Your practical jokes were never at the expense of anyone else's feelings. And I learn of your love for Louis Armstrong. Later that night, I listened to Muggles and drank in my kitchen. And I learn of your sugar love for hummingbirds. Your daughter heard you talking once alone in the yard. Worried, she went out back to check on your sanity. I can see you explaining to her with head-toss laughter, "They're thanking their mama." I see their wings blurring, a flurry of shimmering moments up and down, iridescence round your head and the endless, expansive, light-glinting shine of a late Central Valley afternoon. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Sheila. That was just extraordinary. Thank you. Juyanne, I think you're next up. I'm going to unmute you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, that was quite beautiful, Sheila. And I don't want to leave us in a dark place, but in my memoir, a collection of essays and other things, as it were, I have a couple of poems, and I decided to read one of those. It's called Mama. It's the first time I've read this. Perhaps the first time I have been able to read it. So I'll try to get through it. If it seems like it's going long, I'll just stop, but I should be able to get through it. You used to say, you can walk with the devil, but he don't have to know you don't like him. Like some Buddhist monk, you managed to treat everyone the same, with compassion, without preference, with respect, like they were jewels and you a common stone. I admired you because you'd insert yourself where others did not think you should be. You had the daring assertiveness of a last child, the belief that you deserved everything. You sat all chummy in the minister's wives' club, most of them educated, handsomely dressed, speaking proper, you never having eclipsed grade school, in common reduced price, often dollar store merchandise, and with common sense speech. You'd break into their conversations like the only way to gain access was to steal it. And after a while, you'd fit in, you'd belong, even more than they. You knew everyone. You knew how Big Baby and Little Baby, the sisters, came about their nicknames. Or when was the first time cousin Annie came to visit from Sneads, Florida? You even knew all of Daddy's people on the weary side of the Jameses. You still knew the name of the woman who had put a hainch on your mother over 40 years earlier. You could name people off the street. Yeah, that's so-and-so's cousin Edward. His daddy used to pick cotton with my mother way back then. The older you got, the less your tongue could hold its place. At Sunday school, you blessed out the deacons and everyone else, really, for not doing their jobs. My daughter, you said, sat down there in that hospital sick as a dog, afraid of death, knocking on the door. That disease eating up her skin like acid been poured on it, and none of y'all come to see about her. And when that daughter, Willie, finally gave in, her body then gray from lifelessness, the disease having eaten up her insides like it had the outer, you sat in Riverside's waiting room, rocking back and forth with your large swollen fingers clasped around a belly that sat comfortably upon your lap. Your wet eyes closed to the world, your hair sticking up in little tufts of pepper gray because you didn't care then or ever how you looked. Your thinning lips mumbling your own prayer as if you were speaking only to her, the departing, your firstborn, the child you brought into this world when you were yet a child yourself. The one you carried every day thereafter, like a scarlet letter upon your breast, and held on to her, your embarrassment for having sinned against God, family, community. We all sat around you then, even some deacons and other church folk who had learned to care, come more often, and to care more for dying folk, but you didn't even know we were there. And just beyond a year later, you go that same route, the slow ambulance, because you live so far and so deep in the country, in some small rural town, a place people seldom knew where that is. The same heart, really, stopping, unable to fight, blocked from life by an embolism. The restless years have been worn it to pieces, pieces that no longer fit the person you had so painstakingly become. And we rush to see you, those of us who live in the city. Though I am still sick and can't rush anywhere these days, but I sit in the passenger seat of Vanessa's truck headed to Riverside again, and I know you won't be there when I get there. And I try to remember, when was the last time your body was warm? Not even an hour before, I talked to you on the phone, like I always talk to you. You were worried, as usual, about one of your children, that life wasn't feeding her, that people were mistreating her, that the world wasn't big enough to give her half the love you had spared up in your heart. Your voice, you were lamenting, still, the death of 3 children already passed on. When we arrive at Riverside, the place some people call Killerside, we can't lay our heads on your warm, soft skin, against your thigh like when we were kids, or gently on your arm like when we'd fallen asleep next to you in church, or on your shoulder like when we cried and gave our troubles to you. No, you're cold already and beginning to stiffen, and your color, though not gray like Willie's had been, is beginning to fade, no longer important, no longer a marker for discerning folk to decipher who you were supposed to be. A year and a half later, and I am finally able to pick up your Bible from my shelf, the shelf where I have placed it and watched it every day, like it would grow or change or become the thing I want most, a talking, living you. David and I had talked, not my brother David, but Nuslock. And his memento is an old shirt of his father's. If I could ever wear that shirt, he says, I know I could let him go. And I understand the moment the words leave him and find me, I understand. I pick up the Bible and open pages still covered with the breath of you. Your handwriting almost dances before me, so elemental. so truly free, liberated from pretentiousness. You have notes from sermons and bookmarks, so many that you could go into business for yourself, and programs from church services you attended when you and Daddy traveled the highways, making yourselves home to every church that opened its doors unto you. And it's me crying now, rocking back and forth, my large, full fingers wrapped around your Bible, my eyes closed to the world, my lips forming my own prayer, and then the inevitable words, you're gone, you're gone. And I wonder why it took so long to start thinking of you in that way, why I sometimes woke up thinking of your early morning calls, why so many of my dreams were of you and me on a motorcycle on the open highway, why I could not cook your chicken pie until just the other day, why I still can't say goodbye for good, though I know you want me to. And then I remember that you used to say, keep living. And those words have a whole new, hopeful meaning. That was tough.
Thank you, Juyanne. That was really moving. I think, yeah, it's after poems like that, I find it very hard to gather my sort of thoughts. Thank you all for reading. It looks like Liz isn't here yet, so far as I can tell. So perhaps we could open the floor to questions and see if anybody has specific questions for someone, or, you know, we could discuss, or we could chat through the chat boxes as people see fit. If anybody has anything to chat about, I could unmute you and you could chat or talk. I'm gonna unmute the readers if you guys want to talk. Once I find you in the list. There's Andrea. Randy's somewhere. Hey, Randy, there you are. And Sheila should be here. There you are. And Juyanne. Juyanne should be there. I think, Juyanne, you've muted yourself.
Okay.
Okay, we're back. All right. Randy, are you
I'm texting Elizabeth to see if where she is.
Oh, right. Or if she
Doesn't
just
bring-
can't hook it up somehow, or if everything. So what's your process? Do you all meet every Thursday and discuss only new work, or do you revisit work as you're working it through? And maybe tell us a bit of the history of the group, how you became the Bayou Gentilly group. Anybody?
I want to go.
We really have to thank Barry Fitzpatrick for that. She
I should unmute Barry.
she hosts it every time, and she's a wonderful host, and she keeps us going. And also, I don't know why she's not reading tonight, because she's also a wonderful writer.
Mhm.
Oh, you'd have to ask her, I guess, but she might have her own quiet reasons.
I know.
Yeah, it's a wonderful experience just going over and meeting for workshop at Barry's house. It's always such a warm atmosphere. Getting to play with her dog, Addie, who is just adorable. She's become one of us, I believe. But yeah, it's just a great experience of bringing both new work and, revising work. I know that some of the work that the workshop is revised for me ends up in, something that I publish. So I'm always eternally thankful to them. I was one of the later members of the group, so I have no idea how you actually first got together.
Barry, how long have you been doing this?
Gosh, we started doing it in 2017, and we were very ambitious in the beginning of meeting almost every week. I I don't know if we started on a Thursday, but I can't remember what day, but we were really pushing it to try to keep the momentum going. And so we did that for quite a while. I can't remember exactly how long. And then we started going to, every other week. And then, it just kind of was then once a month. So now we've since COVID hit, we've done some Zoom meetings, but and then I've been open to having people come over, we'd sit outside and with masks and things like that. So yeah, I'm hoping to get it back to, a little more consistency. It's hard with right now there's 9 of us, and people's schedule, we try to check in to see which dates are good. And so there's a good bit of flexibility, which can probably work against us of trying to accommodate so many schedules and things. But yeah, it's still going. So, since I think it was like April of 2017, we started. And yeah, it's been good. And yeah, I'm just kind of in a place of not having the spirit with me of being too productive right now with writing. So that's why I'm kind of I didn't want to read something old, and I'm just kind of wanted to not be, anyway, I've enjoyed hearing everybody read. I mean, it's very moving, and and to see some of the work that's evolved too. Some of the work that was read tonight, we've seen earlier versions of, and so it's really nice.
It's a weird time. I think some writers seem to be writing lots. I don't know if any of you found that, but I am more in Barry. I'm with you. I'm finding it a really weird time to write and come up with new anything. To really even think is tricky, but I've done some decent reading. I keep collecting new lists of books that I want to read and new people's work that I want to read, but creating new work's difficult. So I don't know what you all are finding in the group, if you're very productive or not. And Andrea, I don't know when your book came out, actually.
Oh, I think it was like 2016. So like this is a 5-year-old now in kindergarten. So, yeah. But yeah, I've sort of been productive. Like I, for the first time, not the first time, but really more seriously, have been revising my thesis, which is like 6 years old. So I've been like doing a little every day-ish. And so that's good. And like I said, I've been like trying to write fiction, which I've never wanted to do except like 16 years ago. So haven't written as many poems, but I have so many that I haven't even tried to revise yet. So it's just, and the group will like listen, look at my poems, and sometimes it's just like, oh my God, what are we looking at? But yeah, so that's me. So sort of productive, sort of not. I don't know.
Sheila, productive period, not productive?
Well, I guess what's kept me productive is having an appointment to meet with this writing group.
Because your piece was just, it must have been very difficult to read something in this context. So yeah, thank you for it.
Thank you. Yeah, I haven't, besides the first draft that I shared with the group, I haven't really shared it with anybody. Yeah, my daughter's attending tonight, so she just heard it for the first time.
Oh.
Yeah, but it was that came somehow, that came not easily, but readily, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, for me, it's more of a time issue. My work has kept me really busy because of COVID, so I haven't had a lot of spare time. But being in this workshop has really done me so much good. And I was overseas for a long time, and when I moved back to New Orleans for 2 years, 2017, Randy told me about the group starting at Barry's house. So that was something that I really, really looked forward to, and it really helped me during a rough patch too. So thank you, everybody.
It's
Randy?
great we were able to keep you even though you went to California through the miracle of Zooming. You still-
Yeah, and I'm grateful for that too.
Yeah.
So you're only sort of virtually Bayou Gentilly at this point, but
Right.
that's one advantage of being virtual. It really is. And John, you read this piece that is recent. I take it the piece for your mother's just an extraordinary piece. So have you read it? Like, have you been working on a lot during this period or not so much?
No, this is actually, it's old. I worked on it with Randy as a student for my thesis. And it eventually became the book that sat on a shelf forever and finally got published.
Well,
So-
can we see it again? Because of the glare, it was really hard to see the cover.
Mm.
Move it slowly across the camera.
I don't know why it won't show.
It's so hard. Oh, table scraps. I can see it suddenly.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah,
So when did it come out?
last year,
Oh, cool. Cool.
yeah, I had planned on traveling in 2020. I had all these venues I was going to, and
Yeah.
that
Well,
didn't happen.
looking forward to seeing these books in actual bookshops and press fairs and things in the soon coming new improved version of reality, hopefully, that we're going to get.
Yeah.
Thank you. Randy, have you been writing a lot during this period or not?
Have been. I did a collection of prose and poems and got that together. But like Andrea, I'm trying to write fiction, which is kind of new water for me. But this has been a good time to work on that.
Oh, nice.
And by the way, and we have another member of our group, Mary Sparicello, is here.
Oh, hi. Cool. Hi, Mary. I'm unmuting you or trying to unmute you.
Yeah,
There,
thank you
you're
so
muted.
yeah, thank you so much for letting me sit in tonight. I so enjoyed this. I really, really appreciate it.
If anybody has any questions to ask, you could either wave at me or put them in the chat, or if you want to ask any of the readers, or if your dog wants to bark, that's good too. Is that Barry's dog? I don't know whose dog that was.
No, not mine. She's downstairs. That must be Juyanne's dog.
Yeah.
Aha, okay. That's why you muted yourself, I guess, to mute the dog. Well, we're moving towards the end of the hour. If people don't have questions, then we can kind of wrap up and chat amongst ourselves. But if there is any question, just somebody let me know, because you pretty much all fit, but I can't quite see you all at the same time. Okay. In that case, I want to thank you all for coming. Thank you so much. And thank you for reading, guys. It was really wonderful to hear your new material and hear some old material that I've never heard before. So I'm looking forward to looking for more work from you guys. And please keep tuning in for other events and readings and panels and workshops at New Orleans Poetry Festival at the same links you found to get here. So have a wonderful night and thank you so much. Bye. Good night.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
Barry?
Yes?
Would you want to use this moment to